Hello, welcome back to the Abundant Joy Tarot. This is Ade, and I'm bringing another detailed reading to you today. In this reading, we're talking about conflict. Okay, so how do we resolve this conflict and find peace? So it's conflict. So this is how we're going to do the reading. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show two sides. So I will pull the first three cards will be your side of the conflict, or sort of your point of view. And then the other three cards on this side will show the other party's point of view. So this reading can apply to any type of relationship, but just a conflict in that relationship. So it could be romantic, platonic, work-related, family, whatever it might be, okay? Just to kind of give you some insight into a current conflict that you're dealing with. So it'll be you on one side, then the other party. That will be the first part. And then we'll do what is the common or shared energy between the two parties. And then we'll look at how can we find peace. And finally, what is some final spirit guidance on helping to find peace in the resolution. So that's how it's going to work. There's going to be three different piles. I'm about to go through an extensive pile picking. So if you prefer not to go through that process and want to choose by crystal, pile number 1 will be the red Jasper. Pile number 2 will be a clear quartz stone. And pile number 3 will be the tiger's eye. Okay, so if you want to go directly to your piles, you can go by going into the timestamps in the description or in the comments. And again, I want to thank you for joining the Abundant Joy Tarot. If you're liking the readings that you are receiving, if you could please like, share, and subscribe so that we can grow the community. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started with this pretty extensive pile picking here. So we're going to pull some oracles. I'm going to start from kind of the bottom up. So I'm now working on this section about spirit guidance. So spirit guidance can give us some quick guidance for pile number 1 on this conflict. Some guidance for pile number 2 on this conflict. That. And some guidance for pile number 3. Oops. I think they actually go like this. Yeah. Okay. So that's going to be the first one. Then we're going to pull. Now this is the tarot for. Got a lot of decks going on back here. This is going to be the tarot for the spirit guidance. So for pile number 1, I think on these we're pulling 2. That's right. So 2 cards for pile number 1. Spirit, looks like that one was caught in my hand there. One more for pile number 1. I thought it was this. And for pile number 2. Pile number 2, what is the spirit guidance on this conflict? For pile number 2. Looks like 1. Oh, feeling this one. 2. Okay, and then for pile number 3. Pile number 3 looks like it's going to be 1. And for pile number 3. Okay, so that's going to be the 2 for that. And then we're doing, this is also for spirit guidance. And oops, that looks like the card got flipped. Okay, so for pile number 1, this is spirit guidance from the crows. For pile number 1, I'm seeing. Okay, looks like it's those 2. And for pile number 2, pile number 2, pile number 2. I think it's definitely that one. Oops, file number 2. And for pile number 3, need to make a little room here so I can fully shuffle. Pile number 3 looks like that one. And one more for pile number 3. The top one. All right. So that is going to be the section on spirit guidance. Stacks over here so I have more room. All right. And then we're going to go into the section where we're looking at how can we find peace? How can we find peace? All right, we're going to use the light Seers deck to delve into that. How can we find peace? So for pile number 1, 2, and for pile number 1, pile number 1. That looks like 1, 2, 3 for pile number 2, and then for pile number 3. Pile number 3. How can we find peace? Oops. A lot of stuff coming out here. This is 3, so I think these are the 3 cards, but they're all turned around. Okay. All right, so that is the how can we find peace. And now we're going to look at, so these next cards will be the space in between. What is the shared or common energy within the conflict? That's what these next cards, and they're going to be pulled from the Sun and Moon Tarot. And so we need 3 cards. 3 cards for pile number 1. Looks like that's going to be 2, and 3. Okay, pile number 2. Okay, stuff going on here. Too much. Okay, so for pile number 2, here's the common energy. That's going to be 1. Number 2, what is the common energy? Common energy in this conflict. There's 2 and 3. Common energy. Okay, and for pile number 3, what is the common energy? Oops, popping right out. 1. Oops. And 1 more for pile 3. These cards are jumping all over. Okay. All right, and then we're looking at the other party. So what is the other party's point of view in this conflict? Okay, and we need, we need 3 cards for pile number 1. That's 1 and 2 and 1 and 3. Okay, so that's pile number 1. The other party's point of view in pile number 2. What is the other party's point of view, Spirit? Can we get insight into that? And we've got 1, 2, and 3. And then for pile number 3, insight into the other party's point of view. Okay, pile number 3, we've got 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that's that. And then finally, what is pile number 1's point of view on the conflict that they are inquiring about? 1. What is pile? Oop, that shot right out. Okay, 2. And then pile number 1's point of view. Okay, so pile number 2's point of view. Pile number 2 point of view. Okay, 1. Pile number 2's point of view in this conflict. And we've got 1, 2. And then for pile number 3, what is their point of view in this conflict? Pile number 3. Point of view. Okay, 1, 2. And 1 more for pile number 3. Pile number 3. All right. So those are going to be the cards. It's quite a lot. But we've got a plan. We've got a plan in action to dig into this conflict and also get guidance from spirit so that we can hopefully come to a place to how to approach to bring greater peace. So for pile number 1, this is going to be your pile with the red Jasper. Pile number 2, this is going to be your pile with the clear quartz. And pile number 3, this is going to be your hefty pile with the tiger's eye. Okay, so you can go to the timestamp and the descriptions or in the comments, and you can choose your pile, and I will see you in your piles. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you like the readings that you're getting, and I will look forward to seeing you in your readings. Hello, pile number 1. Welcome back to the Abundant Joy Tarot. This is Ade, and we're doing a little bit of a different detailed reading where we're talking about conflict. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pull the cards for you as the inquirer, the person asking the question or having the reading. What is your energy or side of the conflict, if you will? And then we'll pull what the opposing party's side is. And then we'll look at the shared energy. And then we'll look at what are some things that are needed or some steps that you can take to find peace, and then guidance from spirit. So those are the buckets that we're going to be looking at as we go through this reading. And I ask you to just think about, as I kind of go through the two sides of the story to see, like, is this really resonating with you? And if not, then you may want to look at one of the other two piles, because conflict obviously can come in multiple ways. And the way that we're approaching this reading is that it's in all likelihood going to be a conflict between two individuals, although it could be an individual and like a job, if you will, or something like that. But you'll just have to see how it resonates, because it is a general reading. All right, so let's take a look. So if you chose the red Jasper, this is going to be your pile, and this is pile number 1. So the overarching energy of the conflict. So I pulled these cards as a guidance from spirit. So the overarching guiding from spirit for this conflict in terms of bringing it to peace is what this card says. And this card says new horizons. Old ways won't open new doors. Okay, so what this says to me is, just off the bat, not even really quite sure what the conflict is, but what it's saying is either there's going to be a need to let go of something and move on to something else, or at the very least, whatever the approach is that you've been using to deal with this conflict needs to be shifted. There needs to be a perspective change in terms of how you're going about resolving the conflict, because this says old ways won't open new doors, and we want new horizons. So we want a better outcome than what we had. So we're going to have to change how it is we're approaching the situation. Okay, that's just the first piece that's coming off with that little phrase. So let's take a look at what your tarot, and we use the Muse Tarot to look at what your tarot as the inquirer was for this conflict. What is your energy around this conflict, to give us a sense? So I will pull both your energy and the opposing party's energy, and then we'll dig in from there. So we've got the Two of Emotions, which is going to be the Two of Cups for you, as well as the Ace of Inspiration, which is going to be the Ace of Wands. Okay. And then you've got the Seven of Materials, which is going to be the Seven of Pentacles for this deck. Okay. Really interesting. A lot of emotion. The Two of Emotions also really speaks of partnership, union, love, new beginnings. And then you've got this inspiration, which is talk, and it's the beginning of inspiration. So it's the beginning of Wands, which is a fire energy. It's like there's a sense of passion, desire here as well as the Seven of Pentacles, which speaks to having worked on putting some blood and sweat into something for some period of time. Okay, it's like this one. You can see here. There's a road. It's as if the road has been somewhat long. So we will look at that. I'm getting the sense right off the bat that this may be a conflict within a partnership or relationship. Okay. It could be multiple things, but that's what I'm seeing so far. So let's just see what we've got on the other person's energy around this conflict. So we've got the Two of Wands. Okay. The Ace of Pentacles. And the World. Interesting. Okay. So the World card. So again, let's see. I'm trying to think of other scenarios because the first scenario that's coming to mind for me is definitely a relationship type situation and what I'm seeing here. So I'm going to just speak to the energy, and then as a general reading, you can see if the energies apply, because it could be that it's a non-romantic relationship, but it's a platonic relationship. It could be a familiar family relationship, because there's a lot of emotion and passion here, right? Both sides of this connection has you both have aces and you both have twos. Okay. So twos kind of speak to duality, partnership, balance, coming together in that way. Okay. Aces speak to new beginnings. Okay. And you've got new beginnings within sort of like passion and creativity, and new beginnings in like materials, i.e. the pentacles in like foundation, sort of prosperity, abundance, and things like that, right? So this is a little more stable, if you will, new beginning, whereas this is more of a fiery, passionate new beginning, okay? And again, because this is a general reading, understand that these two energy sides could be switched. It could be that even though I pulled these cards for the person who was making the inquiry, that this could be the other party and this could be you as the reader. So it could be switched. So just see if the energy is correct for the conflict between the two, okay? I'm just really getting that this is really talking about coming together. But what is different about this, like sort of Two of Emotions, is that it's really talking about authentic, open-hearted communication and coming together. A real sense of like wanting things to be transparent, out in the open, clear, okay? This Seven of Materials is going to talk about a need for a pause in the action, if you will. So we've been going along this road and it's like, I need a pause. I need to stop. But then at the same time, you've got this new beginning. So there's certainly a desire here to come to some new beginning, to come to some sort of resolution of the conflict on both sides of here, because we've got the ace on both sides. So there's a sense of wanting a fresh start, wanting to start anew within this conflict or connection, whatever that may be. Now, this person also has the Two of Wands, okay? And the Two of Wands is about taking action, moving forward on a plan. This energy really seems to be talking about moving forward toward finding stability and greater abundance within the physical plane, whereas this energy is really kind of talking about wanting to move forward and take action and from a space of sort of emotion and passion and creativity and sort of more fiery on this end. Although the wands are very fiery, it's just actually quite interesting because there is a bit of balance here in terms of duality. It seems like there's definitely a way that these two energies can come together because there are certainly commonalities in terms of this desire for balance and duality and this desire for starting fresh in some way. Okay. And, there's a desire here for success and there's a desire here for success. Now, the world does speak to completions. So it is a completion of some kind, but it's a successful completion. All right. So that leads me to believe that both parties are really, even though there may be a conflict, whatever that conflict may be, but both parties, there is a desire to come to a balance and duality, to be able to find peace within whatever this conflict may be, okay? Let's look at what the shared energy is. So the shared energy, we've got the High Priestess. We've got the Seven of Pentacles, and it says failure here. And then we've got success and the Six of Pentacles. Okay, now this is really interesting because you've got the Seven of Pentacles as a shared energy between the two of you. And you've got really the Seven of Pentacles in this first person's energy as well. Okay. And again, the Seven of Pentacles is really speaking about a need for a pause. Now, this card actually says failure. It's interesting to me that it says failure and success because it's almost like both parties have a fear and a hope of failure and success, that there is, and this success card here, because it's the Six of Pentacles, and it talks about, the Six of Pentacles talks about an equal give and take. There's an equal give and take that takes place in the Six of Pentacles. So there's a desire on either side of here to find a balance and back to that duality and find an equal give and take. So that's really good for being able to think about how we can come to some resolution around this conflict, because it seems that whether or not it's being voiced or not, both parties have a desire to avoid failure and get success. You both also may be thinking that you are on the brink of failure, because this is the first card that came out, and then we've got success coming down here. So it's almost like there's a desire for success, but there may be, depending on where you are in this conflict, you may have the sense that you already had some level of failure in terms of the communication of the conflict. And that's why you're actually in this reading trying to understand, is there a way for us to come to peace around this conflict? Now, the High Priestess is really talking about going within. Her power spot, if you will, is using her intuition and using her inner guidance and trusting her gut. And so there's a sense that both sides, because this is now shared energy that we're talking about, that both sides are doing some inner reflection. And that's always a good sign for a conflict, okay? Because if people can pull back and look at their side of the conflict and figure out what a commonality might be, then that's where you can find peace and balance, okay? So for you, the listener, to this reading, I feel like one of the advices that you need to take away from this is to do some inner reflection, if you feel like you haven't already been doing that, but to lean into that, lean into your intuition and your gut feeling around how it is that you need to move forward, okay? Now let's look then at, so if this resonates with you in terms of the situation, then this is obviously your reading. If it doesn't resonate with you, then you may want to check out one of the other piles. Now let's look at what the guidance is from the Tarot around how can we come to peace in this conflict? And again, like what this conflict is, because this is just general reading, it's really going to see whether it resonates with you, because honestly, I could see that this could be a multitude of situations where this conflict could arise. Ultimately, you've got two people who actually are looking for duality and balance. One person who is more coming from a space of sort of fiery passion and emotion. The other person is coming from more of a measured space around looking at abundance and coming to completion and wanting success, focusing on success in that way. A little less emotionality within this person here than in this person here, okay? But there's certainly both intensity and passion on both sides of this, okay? So now looking at what could bring peace, or how can we bring peace, we've got the Six of Swords, the World card. So we've got the repeat there. So we got the World card repeated here in how can we find peace, and then we have the Seven of Pentacles repeated here. And then we've got the Fool card. Now, this is really interesting to me, and just in terms of how the layout, it wasn't necessarily meant to happen that way, but it does feel like, as I'm looking at it now, that this is advice for this individual, and this is advice for this individual that will bring you all together to be able to experience ultimate success with this World card. There's such a beautiful image here. Now, the interesting thing here is that we do see one person in this World card. Now, most of them do show one, but there is an interconnectedness that is happening here, which I think is quite beautiful. But okay, so in terms of looking at the Six of Swords. Now, the thing about the Six of Swords, one of the common readings is that it's sort of leaving a bad situation and moving to a new situation. The way this card really shows it, and I think the interpretation that it leans to even more so, is that the intervention of divine help coming in, getting guidance and support from community members, and, sort of unexpected help coming in at the right time. That's what the Six of Swords is sort of indicating here. And I get the sense that this individual who's got this sort of energy of this Two of Cups energy and the Seven of Pentacles and the Ace of Inspiration, the more emotional, more passionate sided individual, may be able to look for some additional support, whether that be through counseling or whether that be through community members or a spiritual leader of some kind, but seeking additional support. Because the other things that the Six of Swords talks about kind of a transformation, if you will, i.e. like almost a spiritual awakening, right? That there is a transformation that occurs in the process of this movement. It can be an internal movement that is happening within the Six of Swords. It could also indicate physically moving away from a situation, okay? So that is definitely here as well as a possibility. But what I'm sort of getting in the overarching here is that there's almost like an internal movement that needs to happen with this person's energy right here, whether that be you or the other person. When I pulled the cards, I asked for just to be you, but like I said, it could be switched, right? And then the advice then that I would see for this individual who's really kind of, I'm experiencing the energy of being a bit more measured. Although these cups are also about new beginnings, it is also about taking action, and the world is about success. But it still feels, this energy feels more measured. I don't want to necessarily say grounded, because this energy doesn't necessarily feel ungrounded. It's just a bit more emotional and more passionate. And this one is more stable in a sense. I'm hesitant to say that because it's not quite stable, because you've got the Ace and the Two. So we're kind of really at the beginning of these stages. But regardless, the advice here, I feel like that's kind of falling for this energy is to take risks, to really like jump in with both feet. It's almost like maybe that this person has been being very measured about how they're approaching the situation, whether it be the conflict or the relationship, and there's a need for them to like full-heartedly jump in and do the work that seems that both individuals are really wanting to occur. And then the other piece is, when you think about the question of being, how can we bring peace to this situation? And then you've got the World card. And so the World card to me talks about change too, because the world is constantly turning, it's not the wheel of fortune, which, is really talking about a shift in fortune and the world turning in that way. In this case, it's talking about a completion, a celebration of success, right? A celebration of success. And so it feels like there's certainly an opportunity to find peace and success in this conflict. And I think what it is it's about coming together on the things that are in common that you have here. And we'll pull what the Spirit's guidance is around it. But in general, we've got, both of you have the desire to find the balance, and both of you have a desire for a fresh new start. But the key thing from Spirit in the beginning was new horizons, old ways won't open new doors. So in order to get to this world of success, you're going to have to approach the situation differently. But the good news is that you both are somewhat on the same page in regards to what the overall outcome is what the overall desired outcome is. Okay. And that is definitely a move in the right direction for any conflict. So I hope this is resonating with you. I'm going to pull now the guidance from Spirit. So we pulled 2 oracle cards. You've got choices and soar. Okay. Choices and soar. And then we pulled 2 tarot cards. And you've got the Shaw of Staffs, which is the King of Wands. And then you've got the 3 of Cups, which is the 3 of Cups. Okay, and so let's think about this here. So choices. So it's interesting because this little scenario of the crows, what's going on here is that they've come to the beach and I guess apparently crows really like clam meat. Okay, and so there's 2 clams here, and one of the crows got the opportunity to be the first one in, if you will, but they have to make a choice between one of these 2 clams. And the thing is that, they just stumbled upon these clams, and it could be that they both have meat in it, but then one of them might not have meat in it. And so this first crow has the choice. You see he's eyeing this one here, but he has the choice to kind of go in and gobble that up, but he might get stuck and find out that there's not meat in that one, and the other crow would have already gotten this other one and gotten the meat. But they might both have meat, and it might be fine, okay? But ultimately, what the card is saying is that there is this decision that needs to be made here in this situation, and someone is going to have to jump in and make the choice, okay? Someone's going to have to be that crow who makes that first decision and doesn't know whether or not there's actually meat in the clam, okay? But someone in this scenario, whether it be you or the other person, is going to have to make a decision and hope that that is the balance, right, between the two, that both parties come out with the meat, right? So that's what this card is representing here. It's about choices. So it's interesting to me because it is kind of falling in line to here where there's like divine help coming in. Okay. And there's just a need to be able to get some introspection in and make a choice. Now, this card is a beautiful card from the crows, and it's called Soar. And it talks about having the courage to fly, to take off and fly, leave your surroundings and soar, It's a really beautiful card, but it also is sort of speaking in regards to this conflict. It is talking about, stepping fully into your confidence, okay? And that's kind of what this king, I believe, is saying as well. But this soar card says, get up, open your wings, and feel the supportive wind carry you to your destination. There are no obstacles in your way now. Now is the time to move. Conjure up your courage and take action. Soar brings a rush of energy and an open channel to receive the information needed to progress. Okay, it's in this space that blocks are removed and events flow beautifully as you sail on to success. Okay, so there's this sense of like really stepping into your power to be able to bring about success to this conflict. It may also mean, because it's talking about soar, get up, open your wings, and feel the supportive wind carry you to your destination. So I feel like there's an opportunity for you to be 100% clear with yourself about what your destination is. What does the world card actually look like for you out of this outcome? Because there's certainly a possibility for you to achieve this world card, but you need to get clear about what that actually is for you. What does that look like? Because old ways won't open new doors, right? So you've got to try a new path. Now, the Shah of Staves is also speaking about passion, confidence, leadership, okay? It is also the king, the King of Wands in the traditional deck, okay? So it lets me know that really both parties are asked to be assertive, bold, and motivated. Be daring, be confident, a leader. Master your own life, okay? This leader embodies passion and courage. He's a natural leader, a visionary, larger than life as we see it, okay? So you're being alerted to a very strong, motivated energy. This Shah of Staves can be a person, a quality, or a message that you need to hear. And the message asks you to be patient with yourself and with the people around you, okay? The fire in you can scald either. So the Sufis use breath work. So this is from the Sufi Tarot. And one of the questions to think about here is, what do I need to do to balance the fire within this situation and within myself? Okay, this is the guidance from Spirit in terms of resolving this conflict. Okay, I really feel like Spirit is also talking about balance. So, but there's a lot of emphasis here on making a choice, but making a confident choice, being bold about it, picking up your wings, getting up, making the move. And then you've got the King of Wands in here that's like, be motivated, be a leader, make the decision. So it feels like there's really a need to kind of approach the situation with confidence and motivation. Use your passion in a balanced way, but use your passion nonetheless to be able to come to a resolution. And then this Three of Cups is a card of celebration. So it's also talking about celebrating friendship. So whatever this situation is, because this is a general reading, if it's a love relationship, it's almost like it's saying, look at your friendship, look at the things that you have in common, and use that as a bond to bring about abundance in further connection. Okay. If it's for work relation, it's the same advice. Really, if it's a friendship, obviously it's the same advice, but it's really talking about leaning into the bond of friendship to be able to come to resolution and peace around this conflict. So this is what I see for this conflict. I hope that it resonates with you, pile number one. I want to thank you for coming to the Abundant Joy Tarot. It certainly seems like this conflict is a resolvable conflict. It's just about leaning into this idea of balance, leaning into the idea of balance and leaning into the idea of freshness. How can this be? How can perspective shift? How can you have a fresh approach to how you're dealing with it? And how can you come to a place of success and celebration within this connection? That's what I see. I hope you guys have a joyful and abundant day, and I will see you in your next reading. Please feel Feel free to like, share, and subscribe if you like the readings that are coming to you. And thanks so much. Bye-bye. Okay, hello, pile number 2. If you chose the clear quartz stone, this is going to be your pile, and this is going to be your reading. So we are investigating the question of conflict. How can we resolve this conflict and find peace? And what are our guides and ancestors? What is our guides and ancestors' guidance about, around this conflict? Okay, and so this reading is kind of like has sort of 3 sections to it. The first section is about looking at what are the energies between the 2 sides of the conflict. So to help qualify, okay, does this resonate with you in some way? And then we'll go into what is the shared energy between the 2 sides of the conflict. And then we will look at what do we need to do, or how can we bring about peace in the conflict? And then what is the overarching guidance from our guides and ancestors for the conflict? Now, this first card was actually pulled from the last part of understanding what is the guidance from spirit and the ancestors. So I feel like this is an overarching theme for the reading. So let's see. So we've got replenish. The sun will rise and we will try again. So it's interesting because what is coming to mind for me here, I might need to turn this little light on. Okay, it might have changed the light, but hopefully it's clearer. What's coming to mind right away with this is that some of you who are in this pile might be in separation. You don't have to be in separation, but there's certainly some distance between you in some way, because this is saying we will try again. So it lets me know that there is a bit of a break, either in dealing with the conflict, and that you may still be in connection with one another, but just not actually dealing with the conflict, or just not being in connection with one another. And again, it's still unclear if this is a partnership, or if it is going to be a conflict between 2 sides, but it could be multiple things. So it could be work related, it could be partnership related. This is a general reading, so you'll have to take what resonates and go from there. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at what I pulled was your side of the conflict. What was your energy around it? How are you feeling about it? And then I pulled what was the opposing party's point of view on the conflict and their feelings about it. Now, because this is a general reading, understand that the 2 sides could be switched. So although I'm pulling these first 3 tarot cards to represent you per se, if you find that the reading is, oh, well, actually my energy is more like the second one, and the person that I'm dealing with, their energy is more like the first one, that's fine. It just means that energies are switched. Or if you find that both sides are similar to you, you could be just mirroring each other in this conflict. And so that would be okay too. If it doesn't resonate with you at all, however, you may need to choose a different pile, because it just might not be your reading. So just keep that in mind and take what resonates, right? Conflict is really, really important. And, I've prayed a lot over this reading because I really want to make sure that you're getting good, solid guidance around conflicts, because they can have such an impact on how we're dealing in our lives. So again, take what resonates and leave the rest. So this is the energy of person A, or you if it resonates in the conflict. And what we have here is the Muse of Emotions. So in this deck, this represents sort of the King of Cups. Okay, the Muse of Emotions. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Then you've got the 10 of Emotions, which would represent the 10 of Cups. And the Hermit. It's a beautiful Hermit card, actually. Okay, so it's really about introspection, needing to take some time out, gaining guidance and light from spirit. Okay, but let's look at the other person's card, and then we'll look at the two together. Okay, so we've got the King of Wands, the Star card, and it's slightly covered up because of YouTube rules. And we got another covered up card, the Judgment. Judgment. Interesting. Okay. So what I'm seeing here is it's interesting to look at the two together, actually, because there's almost like a balance of power in this situation, because you've got theoretically the King of Cups and the King of Wands, okay, represented in this two conflict. Now, the King of Cups, the Muse of Emotion, as we're talking about here, is really coming from the emotion space. And actually, even in looks is interesting because it's looking like, in this side, this person, if it represents you, is the more emotional energy person in the conflict. I have absolutely no judgment of emotion, so don't take that on as me saying that that's bad or good. I'm just saying that because there are the cups energy here, there is more emotion here, but it's actually very positive emotion. It's a very receptive emotion. The Ten of Cups is one of the best cups in the tarot deck. It really talks about joy and happiness and fulfillment, emotional fulfillment, as well as abundance within the physical plane. So it's a very beautiful card to have. Like, these cards are actually very strong cards, and they indicate someone who is actually pretty emotionally aware, very balanced, someone who's needing to take some time for introspection with this Hermit card. But the Hermit card is one that is introspection with an eye on sort of transformation, or really digging deeper into gaining light and insight from a greater source, right? A divine source of some kind. So this person, or this energy here, is very much focused on a sense of transparency, openness, joy, acceptance. There's a sense of, I would believe that this individual is really kind of coming to the conflict wanting to find peace in this conflict, okay? So even if there was a need to pull away, because we talked originally that there might be some kind of not being in connection, right? Separation here. And, if that's the case, this individual may have been the one to actually pull away for introspection, just needing to take a breather. Maybe the conflict was getting a little more heated than you felt was productive, and so you needed to kind of pull away. All right. And again, it's not clear here because this is a general reading. This definitely could be relationship based because we got the Ten of Cups and we've got the King of Cups. So it could be relationship based in terms of a romantic partnership, but it doesn't have to be. It really could also be, a work environment or a family environment as well. Just depends on how it resonates with you. Now, the other person's energy, we've got the King of Wands. Now, the King of Wands is going to be a more passionate individual, powerful, can be somewhat dominant, but from a sense of leadership, okay? You've also got the Star card. Now, the Star card is also a very beautiful card in the tarot. But one of the things that really jumps out to me with the Star card is it is really speaking to self-love and healing. So it also could be calling for a pause, if you will. So it's leading me more to think that there's definitely been some separation in the situation. Again, whether it be a separation from the conflict or separation from the actual connection. But the Star card is about healing, taking time for self-love. Excuse me. It is the blessing that is bestowed upon those who choose to follow their true north. Okay. So there may be, it feels like this is an elevated conflict, to be honest, because we've got a lot of this. This has two major arcana and this has one in it, but it's sort of the end of a cycle. So it doesn't feel like a young conflict, if you will. It feels like a more, for lack of a better word, a more mature conflict, but that's really not what I'm speaking to. It's really more like a conflict that's at kind of deeper levels. It's not just as simple as a one-time argument of some kind. It really feels like it's more about personal, like journeys, personal soul journeys almost, in terms of where each individual is falling and whether or not this connection that this connection will be able to move both individuals forward in the direction that they want to move. That's what this feels like. I'm not clear yet because we need to look at the shared energy between the two, but it just in terms of these definitely seem like equally strong energies. The Judgment card over here is really speaking about accepting oneself. It's as if this individual here is kind of going on a bit of their own journey. There's certainly a journey going on over here, like sort of emotionally and with the Hermit card. But here there's another type of journey going on with this idea of self-love and healing, and this idea of taking an honest look at oneself and others, and with the Judgment card. Okay, accepting oneself, accepting one's flaws, which makes you more capable, accepting the flaws of others. And so that is the energy that is sitting over here. So to me, with both individuals having some level of sort of introspection and personal healing, tapping into their emotions on some level, it gives way to a real possibility of being able to find peace within this conflict. Okay, because those two things are very, very much needed when you're looking at a conflict, right? That each individual is looking at their own input into how the conflict arrives. And it does feel like there is a sense that both individuals would be looking to find balance, would be looking to find some peace within this connection. Okay, so let's look at the shared energy between the two in this conflict. And we've got the Devil card. That is really interesting because, you know, even in the depiction of this card, so you can see that card, what this card reminds me of here is attachment. It's almost as if, I don't want to say codependent, but it feels like there is a strong attachment in this connection, right? Now, attachment, the Devil card can talk about vices or addictions of some kind, and that could have definitely been showing up in this connection in some way and therefore causing a rift within the conflict. But to me, what I'm really sensing in this is a more of each individual having a bit of attachment, if not to the other individual, then to the connection itself. Okay, so there's definitely an attachment here of some kind. And then we've got the Ace of Swords, which indicates that both individuals, not only, you can see here, this Ace of Swords has a crown, which is meaning to reflect expanded consciousness, right? And so it's like both individuals are coming to this conflict either they came to it originally or in the process of expanding their consciousness and their perspectives around the conflict in general, and also having a desire to look at it with a new approach, to use new ideas, new thought patterns around how we're dealing in this conflict. How can we switch it around by using our intellect, right? Using our ideas to be able to shift how the connection is working, right? To resolve and find peace within this conflict. And then your final shared energy is the strength card, which actually makes a lot of sense to me because both energies have a very strong, they're very strong entities, right? And there's also a very strong sense of healing. Okay, so the strength card, I think, speaks well of the power of this connection, but also the fact that both of you are looking at it in this way. The thing about the strength card is that, remember, the strength card is sort of a gentle strength, because there's this sense of sort of taming. In this case, the wolf, it's like the child is taming the wolf with like flowers and gentleness, right? And it's being tamed by the butterfly of transformation, right? Rather than, some more aggressive or abrasive approach. And so there's a sense that both individuals within this conflict would like to use a sense of gentle strength in terms of coming to the conflict. And that's always going to be a better way to approach a conflict where there are a lot of emotions on this side and a lot of passion within the fire of the King of Wands. Okay, so all of this sort of leads me to think that this is certainly possible to be resolved, to find a sense of peace back into this conflict, because both individuals are working on themselves, doing some introspection. Both of them are very powerful in their own right, as both sort of having that king energy, which is a more developed energy, a stronger energy. And both parties are going through a bit of self-healing, okay? And so that means you're going to be able to come back to the conflict and be able to find a sense of peace. But let's see, how do we get at this peace, okay? How do we get at this peace? So you've got the Hanged Man, okay? The Ten of Swords. So there may have been a lot of pain, grief, loss in this situation. So I definitely want to talk about that. And then you've got the Magician. Okay, so that's a very powerful card in terms of what's manifesting. And the other thing is that I did not intentionally do this, and it showed this way in the first reading as well. But it almost feels like these two cards are messages for either side of the conflict. It's as if this individual here is really being asked to take an even further pause. We've already got the Hermit piece. Both of these cards really powerful. Look at that. So both of these cards, there's an enlightenment from the divine that's coming in to give information so that you can be able to move forward with whatever direction you want to move. The Hanged Man is, so the Hermit is almost like a voluntary, I'm going out and making a reflection, making introspection to be able to get guidance from the divine and take the steps I need. The Hanged Man is more of feeling it almost can feel a bit stagnant or trapped in some way. But the good news is it's really kind of more of a holding pattern in which the individual's head is dropped down so that they can get a download, if you will, from spirit, from the divine, right? And it may be that this is going across the board and that both of you all need to tap into this Hanged Man energy of taking some time, tapping into your inner guides, and then moving from there. Now, the Ten of Swords is often seen as a very difficult card because it's about sort of this pain or this loss or things like that. But the one thing that I always see about the Ten of Swords is that it is a completion. It is the end of a cycle. So whatever pain or sorrow was there, you're at the end of it. And so the only thing that can happen next is a sense of renewal, a sense of new beginning. And we've got that here with the shared energy of the Ace of Swords, right? That there's an idea, that there's a newness, a new idea that can come forward to be able to help this come to peace, okay? But there is a sense of completion here. So depending on what your situation is, it really may be the end of some cycle, either within the connection as a whole or certainly within the conflict, okay? Because that's what we're looking into. Now, this Magician card is a very powerful card because the Magician really talks about having the power and the ability to manifest what it is that you desire, okay? And it almost feels like this is tied to this person's energy here, that they may be, in a sense, trying to manifest a successful outcome to this conflict, to find the peace in that, all right? Or if it could be going across. So if all parties need to, this was the question of how do we find peace? And it feels like you're going to find peace by going in, doing some introspection and taking some time to pause with this Hanged Man. And in that pause, be doing the work of the Magician to be able to manifest and speak out into the universe what you actually desire from this connection, and what resolution would bring you the most satisfaction and peace from this conflict. Okay, because you have the power to be able to manifest that here. That is how you can get to peace. Okay, is to take time and to manifest what you need to. Focus on the new beginning of the Ten of Swords energy, that it is the completion of a cycle of conflict to move into a higher level of understanding and balance and togetherness, okay? Depending on what the situation is, whether it's a romantic situation or otherwise, there is a need to be able to close out the cycle, to be able to begin again. So let's look at your guidance from Spirit, and we've got acceptance, beautiful. Distraction, okay. We've got the Son of Cups and Marshida, which translates to the High Priestess in the traditional Tarot, okay. So let's take a look at this. So in this scenario with this little crow, they wandered into a different group of crows, right? And what this card is talking about is that the smaller crow, if you will, becomes accepted by the other crows. There is a sense of surrender with this acceptance card, okay, which we also saw in the Hanged Man card, because that is what that card is speaking to, is surrendering to divine guidance and receiving divine guidance, okay? Acceptance brings stability and support, and losing that can leave us feeling isolated. When we receive acceptance here, you may consider if you are altering your behavior because you don't want to lose the acceptance of someone you value and respect. If their approval is conditional, you may need to ask yourself if it's worth it to deny your true self. So if in some way resolution to this conflict is causing you to step out of your true self, then you need to really question whether or not it's worth the resolution, okay? And that's what this card is saying. This card is about distraction, and so it's really asking you to question whether or not you are being distracted in some way from actually dealing with yourself, dealing with the conflict, dealing with the connection, okay? Because this little dog is being distracted by this crow so the other crow can get at its dinner there. So really thinking about whether or not the conflict itself is just a big distraction from something else, okay? Oftentimes we will choose conflicts that are actually just kind of a surface level to what's going on at the deeper level. And these two energies are very deeply rooted and also deeply connected emotionally and spiritually. So that makes sense for this connection, because it may be that the conflict itself is hitting some core soul journey work that both of you all are doing. And so it's easy to allow a lighter weight conflict, even though it might not feel that way, but a lighter weight conflict to distract you from the real true issues at hand. So I would encourage you, and I believe the Spirit is asking you to look at the truth of the situation, okay? Look at the truth of the situation and be clear about what it is that you want to come out of this. Now, the Son of Cups is a very youthful energy. It is a very loving energy, but it does call into question whether or not it is the energy is at the level that you want at this point in time. And that makes sense actually for both of you, because as I said, the energies that you're carrying are elevated, okay? So the Son of Cups, it does talk about romantic feelings, idealism, a dreamer, being empathetic, spiritually in touch with emotions, okay? So when it comes in, it's really asking you to take a look at what it is that you actually desire. Again, this question is coming back up to, what is it that you desire? You're being asked to discern between honeyed words and actual intentions, because sometimes that which glitters actually is gold, and other times there are red flags that need to be paid attention to. So we often have a deep desire to believe in an illusion, thinking it to be ideal, until that which is before us is indeed a reality. What if we were to take the qualities of the knight in shining armor and bring them to life into our own beings? Okay, so this is really talking about asking yourself the question, how able am I to discern the realistic from the unrealistic? Am I ready to accept true love into my life? That seems to be a relevant question for what we're having here, because there's sort of this question of what is it that we truly need? And I feel like both parties are doing a lot of introspection to discover that. Now, when you do discover that, and finally, this final card is the High Priestess, or the Morshida in the Sufi Tarot. And again, she leans heavily on divine guidance and intuition. She taps into her sacred knowledge of the subconscious and her hidden talents, okay, so that things can be revealed. All right. So it feels like both energies are already on the path. Of course, this side, or whether it's you, I pulled the cards for you, all of you beautiful souls that chose pile number 2. It does feel like you are really the high priestess in this situation. You are deeply connected to your emotions and intuition, and you're needing to ask yourself some heavy questions about what it is that you actually want and expect to have within a commitment, and also within resolving this conflict, okay? So I feel like there's certainly a lot of space to be able to resolve this conflict. It's really looking at some fundamental questions between the two of you to determine whether or not what the resolution of the conflict looks like. What is your desired outcome, right? What is your desired outcome? Because through your introspection, you're worked with the Hanged Man and getting divine guidance through their work of self-healing and also forgiving themselves and being able to stand confidently in their power. There's an opportunity for you all to make some deep transitional moves in looking at your attachments in this conflict. So I definitely think it's resolvable, that you can come to a place of peace by coming to it from a space of love and acceptance. All right. So that is what I see here in your reading. I want to thank you so much for joining the Abundant Joy Tarot. This is Ade. If you like the readings that you're getting, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in your next reading. Have a joyful day. Bye-bye. Okay, hello, pile number 3. Welcome back to the Abundant Joy Tarot. This is Ade. If you're liking the readings that you are receiving, please like, share, and subscribe. All right, so let's jump right into your reading. We've got a detailed reading today where we're looking at conflict. How can how can we resolve this conflict and come to a place of peace? And what do my spirit guides or ancestors what guidance do they have around this conflict or moving forward? Okay. And so the way that we're doing this reading is in 3 parts. First, we will look at the energy of you or the inquirer. And then we will look at the energy of the opposing party or conflict, if you will. Then we will look at what is the shared energy between the two. And then we will look at then what is needed to bring peace to the conflict, and then what is the guidance from elevated spirit guides and ancestors. So that's our plan. We're going to start off by looking at one of the oracle cards that I pulled for spirit guidance, which has seemed to kind of hold resonance for the general theme for each of the readings, whatever this card is. Okay, so let's see how it goes, and let's jump in and see if we can give you some guidance around how to maneuver through this conflict. All right, so if you chose the tiger's eye, this is your pile, and it's pile number 3. And the first card that you have is the moon. Take time to reflect. So the other thing about the moon is it really represents emotions. Sometimes it can be intuition or emotions that are sitting underneath the surface. So it feels to me that whatever is happening with this conflict, there's probably some deep-seated emotions that are sitting underneath the surface that are causing the conflict to also arise. And it's also just it says take time to reflect. So really just taking some time to perhaps think before you speak, be cognizant of what your desired outcome is in the conflict, as opposed to needing to be right. Okay. So that's the first thing that is coming to mind. Just, yeah. I used to say, in my career, I would say, do you want to be effective or do you want to be right? Okay. So that keeps echoing in my head. So I feel like that might be relevant to this particular conflict. But let's see what we got. So this is the energy for your feeling around the conflict and what's happening, your point of view around the conflict. So you've got, beautiful, the 9 of materials. And let me just check the camera there. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you've got the 9 of materials, which is the 9 of Pentacles. You've got the Knight of materials, which is going to be the Knight of Pentacles. Okay. And the 3 of emotions, which is going to be the 3 of cups. Okay, which is really kind of speaking to friendship, but also celebration, some kind. This is really interesting. I want to see what the other energy is before digging into this 9 of Pentacles and this Knight of Pentacles. So for the opposing side, if you will, of the conflict, we have the energy of the King of Pentacles. Okay, interesting. And the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, I think I'm starting to get what this is or could be. Obviously, this is a general reading, so it could be multiple things. And the 6 of Wands. Okay. Okay, so my sense here is that this conflict has to do with, this could be a situation where It's a young adult and parents. Like this really feels like parental energy, the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles. And then we've got the Knight over here. So it feels like if it's not, if the situation is not a young adult and parent energy, it's sort of like that same sort of like so a mentor slash mentee relationship here, or some type of situation where this energy over here is trying to give guidance in some way to this energy over here, or this person over here. So it could also be a work relationship. It could be any number of dynamics in terms of where there's sort of like one that is kind of more of a mentor and one is a little bit less of a and one is more of a mentee. Okay, that is what this dynamic is showing out. So it could be like an adult and a grandparent. It could be a young adult and a parental units. It could be a boss situation, or a mentor situation. That's generally what I'm seeing here. There may be other scenarios, but I think it's just sort of this power dynamic where we're looking at where there's a little bit more of sort of a stable, sort of higher up energy and an emerging, really successful, talented energy here. So we'll dig into what that actually looks like. Okay. So in looking at the two energies, the reason why I'm sort of coming up with that is that we've got the Knight of Pentacles. This is a beautiful energy of the Knight of Pentacles here, or the nine of materials, which is the Nine of Pentacles. This is about not just celebration, but success, like success coming after hard work. So it's almost as if, that's why it feels very much like a young adult having completed several levels of success. It could be they completed college, they completed high school, they completed grad school, there's some level of success. They completed something that, brought them further up in their career in some way. But this is definitely a card of fulfillment, self-fulfillment, success, abundance, all coming from hard work, diligence, hard work. Okay. And that is really, really a beautiful card here. Now, oftentimes when you have that energy, there's going to be a shift of some kind that occurs, right? So there may be some decisions that are needing to be made right now that can be causing conflict if you're choosing to do something else, okay? But this really represents a vibration of success and self-fulfillment, enjoying the fruit of your labor, security, comfort, lavishness, sophistication, okay? So kind of stepping into a new area of life. And then you've got the Knight of Pentacles, Knight of Materials, which represents the Knight of Pentacles in the classic tarot. And in the Knight of Materials, it's really talking about diligence and productivity. It talks about the Knight of Pentacles tends to be a slow moving energy, but it talks about hard work paying off. It talks about steadfastness and determination. It talks about planting and tending seeds for the future and financial security. So there's a need for building foundations. This is sort of the beginning of building foundations in some way, okay? Now, the Three of Cups, or the Three of Emotions that you have here, really talks about friendship and celebrations, okay? Collaboration. It talks about looking for your soul family. So sort of being in that place of looking at deep friendships. It sometimes can represent love triangle of some kind, but in general, I think particularly in this situation, because we've got these pentacles here, that it's really talking about a celebration of something, an achievement that has occurred, because the nine of materials is all about achievement, right? There's definitely an achievement that is happening here, and diligence through the Knight of Pentacles. Now, this energy here is very interesting because you've got the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles. And this is why it sort of felt like a very much a parental unit, because these are very mature energies. They're stable, they're abundant, they are, family oriented. And then what they've got is this Six of Wands, which is talking about recognition, celebration of success, but also from a place of sort of recognition. So it's almost as if like they feel they're somehow invested in the success that's going over here. That's what I'm sort of picking up here, that they have an investment in this energy over here. Okay. And like I said, in this situation here, where when you have a period of success, whether it be a promotion, whether it be a completion of school, a completion of a project, or whatever it is, this energy over here, like I said, could be a mentor, it could be a boss, it could be like a company, but it feels like a unit in some way. That's why I said it feels like a parental unit, or it could be like a company, or it just feels like a unit of some kind, a united front, if you will, that is providing support. And it actually seems like it's a very loving, stable support, but definitely has an investment, if you will, in the success of this energy over here. Okay, that seems fairly clear. So let's look at what is the shared energy between these two sides here. And we've got Judgment. Okay, the Judgment card. These are smaller cards, so hopefully you can see that. This talks about really looking at your whole self, authentic self, accepting yourself fully as who you are, looking at, it can have a sense of forgiveness to it, but it's really more about an internal forgiveness, like seeing your true self, accepting yourself, flaws and all, and standing in celebration of that. Okay. So again, it sort of feels like this energy is really celebrating this energy, or really allowing for a sense of acceptance here. They may also be accepting themselves, but that's sort of what I'm seeing here. And then this energy has had the experience of like success and growth and achievement through hard work and determination. And so there's certainly a sense of judgment that things are coming more clear in terms of moving forward with what one's soul journey is, or your destiny is. Okay. Also is completion. Four of Wands. Now, the Four of Wands also speaks to like sort of building a foundation. So as I said before, we really are looking at, there is a cycle here that has completed. Okay. And it's a very positive completion. It isn't a negative completion at all. It's really about building a foundation. So all of that is very positive. So I'm just trying to, make sure that I'm understanding clearly. Okay, so now you've got gain and the Nine of Pentacles. So it really feels to me, because you've got the Nine of Pentacles over here too. So I'm really getting the sense that the conflict may have something to do with what is the direction that this energy, side A here, is choosing to take to move forward, to further expand their foundation, expand their next steps in terms of building abundance and long-term stability, because the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles represents a very solid sense of stability and foundation, right? A structural sense of they've done their hard work, and they're sort of basking in the work that they have done, whereas this is a earlier phase of that journey, and they may have some ideas or opinions about how this knight can get to the status of the king or the queen, status of completion and foundation in their life. Okay, so they might have a point of view on that, and it might not be the same point of view that this energy has, that you have, right? If you are the one who is receiving the reading. So the reason why I keep saying that is because this is a general reading, the energies could be flipped. So you could be the representing the energies over here that are kind of the more solid foundation here, and the opposing party could be the more youthful, receiving successful energy. It could be flipped. Either one of you could be listening to this reading. But both of those could be relevant. But ultimately, what I'm seeing here is that there may be a conflict in terms of direction. What is the best way to move forward? So the question is, how do we come to a place of peace within this conflict? Okay, so first of all, we both need to take time to reflect. Okay, we both need to take time to reflect. Make sure that any strong emotions or passionate words that are said or anything like that, that we're clear where they're coming from. Is there an underlying emotion that's driving the intensity of why you have a certain point of view? Okay. I feel like in this conflict, both individuals needs to loosen the reins a bit and allow for a free flow of possibility, because what we've got here is success on top of success. So it's not as if we're in a place of detriment. Okay. So that's what I'm hearing here, is that there kind of needs to be more of an openness to what is possible in terms of next steps, if that is what the conflict is around. And again, take what resonates with you. But this is the cards that we pulled in terms of looking at what can bring peace to this situation. So we've got the Two of Wands, okay? The King of Pentacles, again. And the Knight of Cups. Okay, so this is really interesting. Okay, so the Two of Wands is talking about making a decision. So it feels to me like, and it's interesting that it's falling with this energy here, because it feels like after going through this period of celebration, after reaching this new level of success, there is one of the ways that you can move forward this conflict here is to be very clear about planning for your future. Okay, because literally that's what this card means. The Two of Wands is about planning for your future. Okay, so for you to take the step to plan for your future, actively pursue possibilities, and really determine what choice you're going to make around new adventures or choosing comfort. Okay. The King of Pentacles is here again. Now we've got the King of Pentacles energy over here, but it's sort of falling into how do we find balance. And the King of Pentacles, if we really lean on the energy of the King of Pentacles is really an overflowing material abundance. Okay, so leaning on sort of over on that abundance. The other thing that the King of Pentacles represents is patience and determination, confident, a really warm leader, one that is generous and allows for personal growth, allows for goals to be reached. Okay, a very solid, nurturing, almost father figure here. Okay, that energy of sort of balance and peace is sitting right in the middle of this conflict. So it feels like this is the energy that can kind of come in and help to find the conflict here. To help to find the peace in this situation. Being clear about what direction do you want to take here? What decision do you want to make? Now, you've also got over here this energy of the Knight of Cups. Now, the Knight of Cups is an interesting energy because it's a youthful energy. It talks about the classic romance, so it's a romantic energy. But the other thing that I think is particularly relevant in this situation is it talks about artistic tendencies. So it may be that that there is a way that you can bridge the conflict by delving into not only your artistic tendencies and your creativity, but also leaning into your heart space, right? So it really talks about, this is like chivalry, like romantic night. We've got the knight on the white horse coming in with a note of love and abundance and all of that, and that's what's here. But when we look at tying it into this situation, which I don't get the sense that this is a romantic connection, although if it's resonating for you in that way, then it could be true. But I feel like what this Knight of Cups is really representing is this youthful energy of optimism, of it's sort of almost like a dream-like state of creativity and possibility that it feels like is possible as you're beginning to make choices around what are next steps in terms of finding the foundation in your life, to really tap into the creativity. I'm assuming that I'm talking here to this energy here, but to really tap into your creativity and dive into a direction that is driven by your heart. Okay? It's driven by your heart. So, sometimes we get these readings and it's like, no, you maybe need to lean more into your intellect. In this reading, it's very clearly saying to lean into your passions, lean into your creativity, lean into your intuition, and lean into your heart in terms of bringing peace to this situation and making a decision about your next step in terms of your overall life and moves after the success that you've recently experienced. Okay. Now, let's look here at the guidance from Spirit. And we've got stability. It's interesting because that keeps coming up. Is sort of this balance that needs to occur between stability and building a foundation, because particularly in this card here, he's like brought in this big stick and he's building his home. He's building the foundation. So one way that you may be able to find resolution in this conflict is to make sure that as you're pursuing your passions, as you're pursuing your creativity, that you're also doing it in such a way that you're actually building stability in your own way, whatever that looks like for you authentically. I think that might also provide some peace, if you will, for this side of the connection here. So building stability. And then you've also got routine. Okay, so tapping into what is your new routine going to be as you move toward another step of success, as you begin to build a new foundation in whatever direction you're going to go. The crows here have a routine of how they maneuver in the morning and how they maneuver in the evening. So routines can sometimes catch you up, and you want to make sure that the routine that you currently have is leading you to the new goals and success that you have set for yourself. Okay. But once you establish that, finding yourself in a routine can be helpful to moving in a new direction. Okay. So that is what those two spirits, and this is the guidance from spirit, your elevated spirits and ancestors. So really talking about tapping into routine, tapping into what is going to bring you stability. And then you've got the the Three of Coins. And this is, and I'm not going to be able to pronounce this right, it's Sharky Falic. And I believe that it represents no, it's not the world. It's the wheel. It's the Wheel of Fortune. So this represents the Wheel of Fortune. Interesting. Okay, yeah. So that all makes sense. So because it's the Three of Coins. This Three of Coins is talking about building with community. Okay, so one of the ways that you can help resolve this conflict, is to be in community, to be in conversation, communication with your community members or with the people that are involved in the conflict. Okay, and it's also talking about building, sort of laying the foundation together. Okay, there's a sense of collaboration, community collaboration, shared goals, playing your part, being a team player. Okay, all of that is relevant in this dynamic. All right, now this final card here is the Wheel of Fortune, and it talks about, in this particular deck, it talks about faith, destiny, the importance of aligning to your true nature. So as you're thinking about what your destiny is and how you're moving forward, as you're taking time to reflect, to make sure that where you're moving, the change, the turning that's happening in your life, the new beginning that's going to occur in your life, the change in fortune is tied to your true nature, that you're moving in a way that is connected to your authentic self, that you're doing things that really feed your creativity and your passion. All right. And I feel like, obviously this conflict is easily resolvable. And I think where the places that you can lean into is making sure that you're moving in a way in which you're able to build stability, even as you're exploring your creativity and your passions. Go ahead and make a decision about directionally where you're going to go, and be in communication with community in terms of, and collaboration in terms of building what that next step looks like. All right. And then also make sure that your final direction, your fortune, is going to come from leaning into your authentic self. I wish you so much luck with this resolution of conflict and all of the success that you have currently achieved and obviously are going to achieve in the future. This is a really beautiful reading. It feels like there's a lot of opportunity for coming together, for collaboration, to bring this conflict to a place of peace. And so I wish you all the luck in doing that. I hope that you have a joyful and abundant day, and I'll see you in your next reading. Bye-bye.